Today we'll be replacing the stainless trim heater wire on a frozen food machine. First we'll begin by unplugging the connector and popping the wires out of the connector. Then we'll be removing the stainless trim pieces and pulling the wire out of its location. Once you have the connector unplugged, the two thickest of the gray wires and the ground wire will all be removed, and they are all three next to each other at the end of the connector. This process is made much easier with the amp pin extractor tool. Next, remove any of the extra permagum that you see on both sides of the door where all the harnessing goes through. Keep all of the extra permagum that you pull off here to put back in place once you're reassembling. Once the wires are loose and the permagum is out of the way, we'll begin by removing the top piece of stainless first. To start, with the door mounted on the cabinet, we'll need to drive this piece of stainless down. This provides clearance for this piece to slide out to the left. The stainless trim will not go to the right due to the anti-cheat on the door. Here I am prying on the stainless to make sure this will clear the edge of the plastic extrusion that is sitting in. Once you have enough material moved, you can grab needle nose pliers and slide the rest of the way out. Make sure to keep all your pieces and try not to bend them. Now that the top piece of stainless is out, both of the long side pieces can come out. These will all have to go out through the top unless you have removed your door and have it laying on a table. Once you get these pieces started, it's always good to wear some leather gloves grabbing the stainless steel. The stainless is very sharp on the edges and will cut your fingers. Now that the side pieces are done, now we'll go and remove the bottom piece. Alright, now all the pieces are removed from the door. Now that all these pieces are removed, make sure you keep the foam gasket that was laying behind the trim. This helps provide an air block behind the stainless trim. Now we can work on removing the wire. If the wire is too difficult to remove, pulling out this way. If it is too tight, you can, since we are replacing this wire, we can cut it and pull it through the other way. Be careful pulling on the wires not to damage the other LED and glass heater wires. Now that the wire is removed, we can clean up this hole and prepare to put the new wire in. Once again, be careful as to not damage any of the other wires as you're clearing a path. I'd recommend before installation of your new heater wire is to check the resistance. We have good resistance. It's also a good idea to check after you've installed to make sure you have not cut or damaged the wire. The easiest way to start this process is to start with the small single end wire as opposed to starting with this wire. This way you can feed this through the back and out through the hole and then pull until the other wire is up to the hole. Sometimes it helps to twist the wire as you're pushing it through, because sometimes it can catch on the foam. Be careful not to ruin your ends of your terminals by squeezing too tight. Once you've pulled it all the way through, stop once you get to this connector on the end of the wire. Now we can begin reassembly of the stainless trim. All right, now we'll be installing the top piece of stainless trim. For extra help, for an extra set of hands, you can help by taping the end of this gasket so while you're sliding, it doesn't move. Be careful starting this that you don't gouge into the stainless steel braiding. Slowly work your way across the top. Trying to make sure the heater wire stays in the center channel. Once you get the top strip over to this piece, you need to stop here in order to leave room to slide the top piece of stainless in. To help make this turn, you can bend this heater wire a little bit to help form the next turn. Now to begin putting in the side pieces, put a piece of tape on here to help hold the gaskets together at the corners to ease installation of the stainless piece. Start very slowly by inserting this piece. Once you have it started, this is a very critical area on all corners while you're putting these pieces in, is to not just slide across that stainless braiding, this stainless could cut through your wire, destroying your heater wire. So while you're sliding, put slight pressure away from it, from behind, ensuring that it doesn't slide across the braiding. You can use your fingers as I am doing here, or you can help yourself by putting a screwdriver behind here and sliding across it, making sure it's not rubbing on the wire. You also want to stop to ensure that the rest of your heater wire is laying on the ground and staying in the center channel. Remember to be careful grabbing the stainless because these are very sharp edges. Now the stainless is installed. You can push it down a little farther, then we can slide the top piece over. Alright, now that the side piece is in, we used our lift to make this easier to video so you guys can see. Now that we're to the bottom piece, you can see a little bit of the gasket has slid out from the side. That's okay. Don't undo all of that. Just take some cutters and trim this piece off. Later on, I will show you how to seal the trim with silicone to make sure that we don't have air leaks from any of the gaskets shifting. Now we'll go on to installing this bottom piece. We'll start by taping this gasket to the bottom to help hold it in place. Installing this bottom piece is a little different because now we'll have to be holding the heater wire out this way while we slide the stainless trim against it. If the heater wire starts to build any slack, you can just pull on this end, keep the heater wire tight. You can use any kind of tool, just pull this edge away and slide your heater wire back up inside. There is a notch at the end of the stainless trim at the top and bottom pieces. Okay, now that we have our bottom piece in, we have our last side piece. Now to make room for this, we will need to knock this side piece down and then this top piece over to make clearance to get this wire in. Be careful when moving these pieces that we're not cutting through the wires. Once you get to this edge and you can grab it with pliers, you can kind of pull out to avoid cutting that corner. Now our corner up here is exposed with the hole, and we can feed the heater wire back through. Once you get the wire back to that hole where the permagum is, you can grab it and then pull it tight. Some of this purple gum from the corner I will use in this hole to help hold it in place. Now we can tape our other gasket on. Once you get this side piece started, you have to be very careful, just like the other side, and keep pressure away, because now there is a wire below it and one running beside it. Slight twisting helps keep it away from rubbing on the wire. Before you push this all the way down, now you can check to make sure if you have any extra gasket that needs trimmed off or just tucked in. Now with the side piece in place, we can relocate the other two pieces and even everything up. Now all four pieces are installed, and we can put the wires back into the connector and then re-perming them. Once all the wires are through, before you install these into the connector, make sure all the little tabs on the pins are extended. That way when they are inserted through the connector, they will snap and lock into place. The ground wire will be the one on the end, and either of these gray wires go next. It does not matter. Make sure to tug on those that they are locked into place, so when you plug the connector back in, it does not push one of your pins back out. At this point, we can use our meter again. And verify that we have the correct resistance and have not cut through our wire. After snapping these together, make sure to reuse your permagum and pack both holes to ensure that it is airtight. All right, now the installation is complete. I will show you how to ensure we have an airtight seal now that all the strips have been moved and pulled in and out. Like earlier in the video, the gasket that has slid out of place that we cut off can create an air leak that goes behind the trim. I will show you how to silicone this inside beveled edge to make sure there is no air leak. The stainless has two beveled edges. We just want to do this inside edge. Wipe off any of the excess on the face of the trim. And then we will do this process on all three pieces and then let this cure. Then once it is cured, the machine will be ready to run.